Recently I've been asked a very similar question by several different people. And even though they asked it in different ways, it all came down to pretty much the same thing. And that is, what do I think of buying firearms as an investment? And by that I mean buying firearms now thinking they're going to be worth a lot more money in the future. Well, to be honest, I think buying firearms as an investment, where you want to make a huge profit, is a notoriously bad investment. It's a very rare thing when firearms become worth a lot more in the future than they are now. I mean, you can look back to the history of handguns, and very few of them that are old are worth a lot of money just because they're old. I mean, just look at some of the firearm forums and see what some of these old guns are selling for. It's next to nothing quite often. But it's very seldomly less than what they sold for originally. But it's still not a big return. One of the reasons for that is gun prices are very volatile. You have to have a market for some. There has to be a market for them. It has to be like a collector's niche of people that want them, and then they have to be like discontinued and hard to get. Now, Colt falls into this a lot. Like, I've got a lot of guns that are exceptions, that are good investments, have been good investments, because I could sell them now for 4 and 5 times what I paid for them. I have a Colt Single Action Army that's worth a fortune. I have Colt Magnum Carry, a Colt Python, things like that are worth money now because they haven't made them. Now, the thing with the Colt, like the more modern Colt guns, if someone started reproducing those again, like if they started making the Python again tomorrow, the value of my Python would drop like crazy. So it's really a volatile market, the firearms industry. Now, it's like with the Delta Elites not too long ago. They were selling for a premium, the older guns were, and then Colt started making the Delta Elites again, and the secondary market on the older guns just collapsed pretty much overnight. So as far as investment for making huge profits, I don't really think it's a very safe investment. I mean, it's something you can do, and you might make profit off of it. But you got to remember, especially if you're buying a gun that's already collectible, hoping it'll be more collectible in the future, you're already paying top dollar for it now. So paying top dollar for it now and getting top dollar for it 10 years from now might not work out mathematically of being worth the investment. But one thing I will say about guns, even though I don't think that they are the greatest investment, I think buying guns is a great way to save money. Now that might sound silly, but bear with me here and I'll explain to you what I mean. Now there are some people like myself who, I'm a very OCD person. I come from a family full of OCD people. Unlike most of the people in my family, I don't let my obsessiveness take me down the roads of drug abuse, alcoholism, things like that. I channel my OCD into things that I consider to be more constructive, like hobbies and collecting. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything really outlandish, so hobbies and collecting are my outlet. That allows me to express my obsessiveness through that. And if you've been in my house, you know my house is full of animation related stuff. I've got tens of thousands of comic books, action figures. There's just all kinds of collectible stuff in my house. And guns has turned out to be the best hobby that I could have ever gotten into, because, like I say, it's a good way to save money, because if you pay $800 for a gun now, there's good chance that a year from now you'll be able to sell that same gun for a tiny little loss. So you've really only paid, like if I buy a Glock, let's say, and I've done this a dozen times, I buy a Glock for $529. I shoot it for a while, I keep it for a while, I turn around in 6 months and I sell it for $499. Well, I've paid $30 to rent a gun for 6 months. So my hobby only cost me $30 for that gun, whereas a lot of hobbies cost a lot more than that. So I'm saving money. And the money that I put into that gun, later if I need money, I can pull it back out, just as if I put it in a zero interest account in a bank. And not losing very much. It's like making an investment where you're only going to lose a little bit, and you might even make some. So I think they're a great way to save money, because if you are the kind of person that can't put money away, you have to shop, you're big into the retail therapy, well, buy a gun. Because you buy a gun, and in 40 years from now, if you've done that with a lot of your money, instead of putting it in savings, you kind of got a savings of sort, because you've got a bunch of guns there that you can probably sell and get back 90, 95, maybe even 100 or more % of what you paid for them. So in a way, guns are kind of like a hobby that's kind of like a savings account. And like I say, it's also a hobby that can keep funding itself. There are some guns, people ask me, why do I buy these guns if I'm not going to keep them? Like I say, it's a hobby. It's something I do, and it's a self-funding hobby almost. You have to put in very little money every month. If I buy a new gun every 2 weeks and sell a gun every 2 weeks, well, instead of putting in hundreds of dollars, I'm really putting in $20 or $30 every 2 weeks. That's a cheap hobby, and it's saving me from spending a lot of money on other things. When I was collecting porcelains, I'd pay a lot more than that. When I was collecting animation porcelains, I'd pay a lot more than $25, $30 a week, every 2 weeks, trust me. So in the end, I don't think they're a great investment to try to get rich. I think there's the rare exception where you will make a lot of money off of a gun. But I think they're a great way to have a cheap hobby. And in the end, if you keep doing it and you don't sell them for a while, you know, at the end you end up with a collection that is worth a lot of money. If you're like me and you're not good at saving money, you want to spend money on something, but you don't want to have to go blow. Hello? Why are you calling me at 3 a.m.? No, when it's 6 a.m. your time, it's 3 a.m. my time, not 9 a.m. my time. I've told you this like 50 times. Why can't you figure this out?